This conference will now be recorded.
All right, so now it is as expected. Okay, so let's get it started. So starting with, okay, does anyone had any issues in setting up the lab of AWS account or while connecting to the server? So does anyone had any issues?
Hi Raghu, this is Subrata. Actually, I'm
Yeah, so
joining first time today.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
So after the session, you just go through the yesterday's recording once. I just asked to create a AWS account. If you have already, no worries. If you don't have, you need to create it, and just creation of a server and connect it to that server. So just that
Okay.
particular process you need to complete. That's all.
Okay, no, I don't have any AWS account. And
Yeah.
how do I get the record sessions?
I already sent you the email yesterday, right? So in that email, we have the recording as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to check.
Yeah. I'll help you anything after. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So does anyone has any other issues? Vamsi, you're asking something. I'm not sure. Your voice is not audible.
Raghu, this is Vasu.
Yeah, was.
Can you show me once how to get that owner number which you copied yesterday and tried
Right.
last chapter?
Yeah. So owner number is my. I mean, you're just using my image. That's all. That's the only thing, and it is updated in the documentation. So you have this particular URL, right? Let me put it on the chat once again. So this URL, try to bookmark. So that for 1 year, for 1 week almost, we'll be using this particular URL and the content inside this particular URL only. So here,
Can you
yeah.
can you please
Mhm.
show me the number where we get that documentation?
Yeah, I pinged on the chart, so the URL. So look into the chart of
Oh,
this meeting session. So we'll see this.
oh, okay. And
Yeah.
one more thing, can we use our own instance? I mean, which is not
Oh,
created by you.
oh, sorry.
Can we use our own instance or image, instead of using? Can we create our own?
See, even if you create your own, you have to use one image. Any public image you have
Okay.
to use. Okay.
Okay.
So you might use the CentOS default one rather than you're just using mine. So what is the problem with the CentOS default one is you need to you might be missing a lot of many packages, which we need to install them each and every time, so that with this one you don't get that particular issue. That is first thing. And second thing is, so initially as a beginner to connect to the server, so this image will allow you to connect with username and password, whereas the normal CentOS one will not allow you to use the password. So there is another mechanism. So that is going to be little bit other way, so which is confusing the most of the people. So that's where I just put that process aside, and I'm putting username and password now. Either of the way, you have to use, you cannot make anything of your own, so you have to use any other's image, and using others image you can make your own image. Like I have made my image and I shared with you, like you
Okay.
can make your own image, so you can do that. But
Okay.
putting
Fine.
the image, yeah, putting the image is going to consume so this is a 10 GB size of the image, and this image, I mean, again, yesterday I was talking about some free limits, so you'll be consuming some 10 GB of free EBS volume which is provided by Amazon. And if it is crossing 30 GB by your instances and all, you'll be get charged unnecessary. You'll be getting charged to your particular account. So just for time being, just use this particular image. That is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, sorry. When I disconnected and reconnected, you were saying some things I didn't understand. You said something about a URL. We should save a link.
Right. So I was just asking everyone, does anyone had any issues on setting up their lab accounts? Okay, so we're just having some discussion with the people. So there are few people which are joined today. So I pinned one URL on the chat. So that is the URL which we are going to have the documentation of how to set up your AWS account, as well as you know um, as well as creation of the server. So that is where I'm just so showing that particular demonstration. That's all.
Okay, the URL, the GitLab.com CIT
Yeah,
DevOps.
yeah. So for the 1 week, we'll be using this particular URL only. So for all our Linux basics and documentation, so we'll be using this. So that's where just bookmark this particular URL so that you don't need to look every suddenly.
Hi, this is
You don't need to remember.
Rakesh.
Yeah, Rakesh.
This is my first session I joined today.
So no problem. So just after the session, there is a recording of yesterday's session. So please go through that once and try
Yeah,
to
sure.
create your AWS account. So because our lab is designed with, or our course is designed with Amazon Web Services. So we are going to need AWS, an account and a server in AWS to start practicing. And that's where you need them. And the URL which I pinned on the chat is going to help you in setting up those things.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that.
Hi, Raghu.
Yeah.
Hi, Raghu. Naina here. Yesterday, I tried to log in the URL which I provided. It was asking for the username and the password.
It should not be, let me try once again. So let me open in a guest window so that there won't be any cookies here. So if I just open, it should be public. Yeah, it is public. It should not ask you anything. So it's a public one and you should be able to see this content. So just try once again.
Okay, let me,
Yeah.
Can you ping that URL once again? And I think I did not see in chat. Maybe I joined late.
Yeah, I just pinged it again once again now. Yeah.
Oh, Raghu.
Yeah.
Right. When I created my AWS account, by default it went to Ohio. So actually, I'm very close to Ohio, so it went to Ohio. So and when I was trying to create the AMI with the owner's account like yours, it says it's not available. So when I have to switch to the North Virginia before I could be able to impute it. Then does it mean I have a pending account running on the Ohio interface?
No, stick with North Virginia region, so that is fine. You don't need to go to any other region. So we hardly use services, so it doesn't matter where we host our servers. Okay, so you can just stick with North Virginia, because my image is currently I hosted this particular image only in North Virginia. So because I choose a North Virginia yesterday session to go with, and in fact for the free accounts actually you're supposed to get only on North Virginia, and you should be getting in Ohio and as well as Oregon. So you will be getting only in those regions according to Amazon. So I can show you the support ticket as well. Oh, I think those are not there. So those are very old.
I'm just trying to confirm that I don't have a two account created. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, that's fine. No problem. So stick with North Virginia, everyone, so that you can use that particular image. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
you. Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony.
Good morning. I wanted to ask you about the yesterday's session, right? It was recorded, but I couldn't see it was posted to us.
So the same URL, whatever it is given in the email, is having that particular one. Anthony, yesterday you should have received another email from me. So in that you have a link for recordings. So if you just click on that, it will show you both the recordings. One is demo and yesterday's session.
It goes to the YouTube recordings.
Yeah.
Also, you're putting it on YouTube. Okay.
Yes, correct. So we were using Google Drive earlier. So there are a couple of problems with the Google Drive. So one is so we are hearing requests from the students asking that some of the companies is not allowing Google Drive, so they cannot watch during the office hours whenever they have some time. So that is one concern. And the second concern is so we use Google Drive free accounts, not any paid thing. So the free accounts is limiting only 15 GB of the space, where our sessions were not able to so put it in 15 GB in total. So it is crossing almost like 75 hours. It is crossing almost like 20 to 22 GB it is crossing. So we have to maintain two different drives for a single batch. So that's also going to become as a problem for us. So trying to port it on YouTube. And even Google Drive takes a lot of time for processing, so sometimes even it takes days to process a video. Okay, so could be, I don't know.
Right.
Even we tried the paid drive as well, so that takes a lot of time. So thought of you, yeah. So yeah, so we'll try.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone? Any other issues you have faced? Okay, let's get it started. So yesterday's session, we just created one server. I just started that particular server back again. So I just started just a couple of minutes back before starting the session. That's all. Or else to give you an understanding, like once again, how to create the server. So let me go to, so we are just using in a different way. So here, let's search on AMI. So on the left side, you have AMIs. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to search for owner, and so this is the one. So here it is, how it is, public images. By default, it is going to be like this. And here I have given the public account number. You just need to use like owner and this one. You can just copy and paste it as well. It should work. It's not working. Okay, so just copy only the number, and so owner, yeah, owner, and just give this, enter. And you got the AMI, so right click and just click on launch. And so the free accounts is going to give you only one type of free server, so which is T2 micro, and you have to use that only. If you use anything else, you are going to get charged in your account. And configure instance details, so no need to change anything. Add storage, no need to change anything. Add tags, no need to change anything. Security group, nothing to change anything. Review and launch, and launch. And so here you can proceed without a key pair. Later we'll talk about key pair way, but as of now I'll proceed without a key pair. I'll just click on launch instances. So this is going to create one server. So instance means a server. And what you're going to get here, so we are in a virtual world. We are in a virtual server world. So whenever you request any server, you're going to get a virtual machine. It's not a real machine. It's not a physical machine, by the way. You're going to get a virtual machine provision for you, and you get access to that particular virtual machine. It's not physical machine. So you just keep that in. So just keep that in mind, so that what you're getting is it's a virtual machine. Okay, so what is a virtual machine is, so how it is going to help is, say in a single machine, if you use, so back in a decade back, we used to use physical machines and we need to configure them. And so whenever we do them, so we used to buy a server, and we used to provision one application on that particular physical server, and we never get the optimization. So that means, let's say I buy some 64 GB of RAM with some 8-core processor. Okay, so 8-core processor, then 8-core processor, and I'm hosting my application. My application is hardly using 1 or 2 cores with some 16 GB or so some 24 GB of RAM, and the rest of the capacity is simply idle. Okay, so second. Yeah. So other resources are simply idle, wastage. Okay, so we cannot optimize the resources. So whatever we are buying, we're not consuming in capacity. Okay, that's a problem, and that's where even let's say the physical machine goes down, that machine went down, and you will not get any you will not get any backup of this particular. I mean, you will not get this particular application up and running because the server is down. So that is a problem, and that's where virtualization has been evolved. And in a single virtual machine, in a single physical machine, we're going to install a software called as hypervisor. Okay, a software called as hypervisor will allow you to create or allow you to virtually split your resources. Okay, so it is going to so split your resources, and it can create a chunk of or it can create a chunk of piece which you can use that particular piece for one application. Okay, so this is how it happens. Yeah, so just a perfect diagram. So you'll be having a let's say, so you'll be having one physical server. In that physical server, you're going to have some multiple virtual machines. Okay, so in this physical machine, you're going to have a OS. On top of OS, you're going to install a hypervisor. Okay, and that hypervisor will allow you to actually create virtual machines. On each and every virtual machine is like a machine. So for you, it is a machine. Okay, but that is a virtual machine in general. Okay, so up to the machine, that is a virtual machine. That's not a physical machine. And so you can create a chunk based on your requirements. So let's say I have, as I mentioned, 64 GB of RAM with the 8-core processor. I can create, so 4 core and 32 GB of 32 GB of two virtual machines. I can run two applications. But you can ask me, hey Raghu, now one physical machine goes down. There are two virtual machines, then, and that impacts two applications. Earlier it is only one application, now it is two applications. Isn't it a problem? Yes, that is a problem as well. So that's where this diagram is helping you. So whenever you go for a virtual machine concept, so you are never going to go for a single machine, and you go for multiple machines. Go for multiple machines, and these machines will migrate from one machine to another machine. So whenever those go down, so whenever any machine goes down, any physical machine goes down, a virtual machine or one physical machine can move, okay, so to another machine on the same network wherever it is connected to. Okay, so wherever the space is available, it just simply moves there, and couple of seconds your machine will be machines with a couple of machines will be available out there, physical machines, and wherever it find capacity, it will just move out there. So that is the beautiness of your virtual machine. And if your physical machine is down, it never impacts your virtual machines. Okay, so that's where we are actually creating a machine inside Amazon, and it's a virtual machine, and we are going to call it as instance. We're going to call it as instance. Don't confuse with the words. It's all just general terminology. So which changes from vendor to vendor, so place to place. This terminology changes. That's all. Here, an instance means a virtual machine. And if you go to the Google Cloud, also they're calling it as instance only, no issues. Okay, so in general, so a particular server is called as an instance. That's what you need to keep in mind. That's all, nothing more than that. Okay, so in general, so it is going to be called as a virtual machine is called as an instance. Now I have the instance ready, so now I can go ahead and connect to this particular um, so um, we have an instance ready, so and we can use this particular instance, and we can connect to the instance is ready. Using a public IP of this particular instance, we should be able to connect. We should be able to connect to that particular instance. So how do you do that? So yesterday, I have shown you download a PuTTY utility, and you simply, so open it and copy this public IP address, just click on enter. Like the same kind of utility I'm using a Mac OS. So I am having a different utility here, so which is like a PuTTY. I just copy and paste the IP address and enter. So it will ask for username. So here I just customize this particular utility um, to use a different username which is CentOS, and it is using CentOS, and it is able to find. But in our case, so what I have mentioned in the document is, so the username and password is root and DevOps 321. Okay, so root and DevOps 321 is what I'm preferring to use it. So let me bring up another utility. What is that? I installed some utility. Oh shit. Yeah. So this is another kind of utility which will ask my username and password. So I'm just so putting something, the name of the instance, let it be that way. And this is the IP address. It is something like putty. So just open the IP address. So just click on create and name conflicts. Okay. And so I have a named one. So just click on this one. So it just authenticates and it asks for username and password, of course. And I'm going to specify my username and password as it is taking the default username, which is my username, and I don't want that way. So I just want it to ask for username and password. So this is a tool to tool, the options changes. That's all. Here they are asking for the default username, and I'm just going to put root. Even putty also, you can customize and you can customize and you can keep your username as well while you connect. Okay, so this is how you have it. And so it is asking for root at the rate this one. It is asking for password. So what is the password I have given? The password I have given is DevOps 321. So there you go. You can see that you are able to connect to the host. And so how can you confirm? Just by typing uname command, it is going to show you the Linux command. The same way, so here I just connected with another utility, but it is just taking me to the the CentOS user. I'm just switching to root, that's all. Now I'm in root. Assume that I am using putty and I'm connecting. Okay, so for Mac and Linux users, you really no need to use any third-party tools. You have an inbuilt tools as well. So there is an inbuilt tool called as a terminal. Okay, so I'm just using that terminal. So this is an inbuilt terminal which is available. Okay, for Linux also and for Mac OS also, if you are. So here you can just give SSH. SSH is a client command. So to connect to the remote node, root at the rate. Root is the username at the rate, and this one. In my case, it jumps directly to the user, but in your case, it might ask for the password. So you just give DevOps 321. It takes you there. Okay, so that is how okay, you can connect. All right, so let's get it back to the Linux commands. So starts with here. So there is a PDF which is available here. So which is so there is a PDF over here, and which is having the list of commands which we are going to discuss about, and we are going to follow that. All right, so here is the Linux basics, and we started yesterday. So how the command line syntax of Linux looks like. There is going to be a command and options and inputs. So now I just used one command to connect to my remote node. So it is SSH is a command. It's a command, and this is the input you provided. This is the input you provided to the SSH command, and SSH command is using that input and doing its job basically. Okay, SSH command is doing its job, and based on the input you provide, your command behavior might be changed. Okay, and as well as, so sometimes you're going to have options. Sometimes you're going to have options. So the options is going to be hyphen single character and hyphen single word. Hyphen single word. Single character and single word you're having. So either of the way your options can be. Okay. So for an example, you have uname hyphen help is an option. And let's say ls command you have ls hyphen l hyphen d / opt. So hyphen l is an option, hyphen d is an option. Okay, so that is how your commands are designed in your Linux system. And yesterday I was mentioning something like, unlike your Linux command, unlike your Windows, Linux commands are case sensitive. Okay, so that means so you would just type uname in Windows, it works, but whereas uname in Linux will not work, and it is simply going to be uname. Okay, capitals and small matters in capitals and small matters in Linux, but not in Windows. Okay, so yeah, just keep that in mind. So even actually in Windows, if you create a directory or a file with, so let's say sample is a file name. If you give and you try to access with small sample, it works, and you give with capital sample also, it will work in Windows. But Linux, those are two different files. Now let's say in Windows you have a sample file.txt which is in small characters, and you try to create another file with capitals of sample.txt, it will say that the file is already there. Okay, so but because that is how the Windows operating system is designed. Okay, and Linux is completely different there. And also I mentioned, so every command remembering and every option you cannot remember in every command, so it is going to be a bit difficult. So to anyone it is going to be difficult unless until you execute them in daily. In daily, unless until you execute, so it is going to be little bit difficult. So we need an we need a help information immediately. So today you have internet, so you don't need to bother about. You can just go and type in internet, you get those particular man pages as well. But so we were in a world where we don't have all these internets and in these particular blogs. Okay, so decade back, we have only Linux.org. Is only the Linux. What is that? Linux. There is a blog actually. We forget even. Linux. Some blog is there. So that was the only portal to share if you have any queries. There was no Stack Overflow. There was no. Okay, so any of there was no so GitHub and so providing our GitHub issues basically. So today most of the things are happening on GitHub issues as well, right? So we don't have such all those things. So there there's only one community, so which is what is that, Linux something is there. So only one community. If you have any question, we used to post there and someone try to answer, and we used to try to answer there as well. Okay, so that's how so earlier we used to be. So we don't have internet, and companies don't allow internet search engines inside the companies. They thought they might lose data. All this nuisance were there a decade back, and whenever we are in server and we had to get information from server itself, so that's where we used to use a lot of man pages. But today you really don't require. You are in a much sophisticated world. So if you want anything, you can just go to internet and find out. So let's say you just want uname and you want the help page. You can just give uname -help. You're going to get the Linux man page of uname command. Just open that and you see it here itself. You don't really need that. And people might give you some examples as well. Okay, some commands you'll find out examples as well better in internet than on the command line. But still, keep in mind, if you don't have anything, manage your friend there inside a system. Okay, you can find out all the options of a command just by using man page. And as I already mentioned, so we cannot remember each and every option. So we need to help immediately. We need a help instantly. So man command can help you, or internet is your friend. Okay, now, so to check whether your machine is 32-bit or 64-bit, so uname command is just showing whether you are a Linux machine or a Windows machine. Okay, but it is not. So hope the font size is okay. So bit. So just don't want to swap screens and make you confused. So hope the font size is okay for everyone. Okay, the PPT, PDF. So if you have any issues, let me know. I will just switch back to the old model. So that actually we need to switch the screen. It shows some lagging on your side. So that's where some confusion comes up might be. Okay, so here system information. So now let's say on the right side I can type my commands. On the left side I can see the options. Okay, so uname command is going to show you that which kernel I'm using. I'm getting Linux kernel, but I'm not getting more information, right? So if I want the information, I have to enable an options. So -I is going to show me whether my machine is 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay, so in Windows, how do you do that? You go to my PC or my computer, right click properties, and you can see whether you are 32-bit or 64-bit. Okay, but here it is uname -i. So I want to put a point over here. So in Linux, anything you want to do, first of all, it should come into your mind. That is, what is a command? If someone asks you something, immediately the thing should come up into your mind is what should be the command I have to execute. Okay. So if some requirement comes, you have to immediately think about the command. So that is where you have to, change yourself in the way of using an operating system. But in Windows, you are doing all the time by using UI. Okay. So here it is going to be a little bit in a different approach. All right, so that's how, okay, so we're going to find out whether our system is 32-bit or 64-bit. So if it is 32-bit, you'll find out i386 and i686 or i586. Even in mobiles, we are in a 64-bit world. So I don't think so. Servers are still running with 32-bit. So CentOS 7 operating system doesn't have a 32-bit operating system at all. Okay, so it is only 64-bit. Red Hat 7 shipped only with 64-bit. There is no 32-bit. So which has been started almost like 5 years back. Okay, so no 32 bits, especially in Red Hat. So prior to that, so they were used to have Red Hat 6 and CentOS 6. So there we have 32-bit, but here we have only 64-bit. Yeah. So that's how that's how you have you have uname -i command to identify whether that is a 32-bit or 64-bit. If you see a number 64, you can say that is a 64-bit. Or if you see only 86, x86, or i386, or i586, or i686, well, these are all shows different architectures, but that's only a 32-bit. Okay. And this is how a Linux kernel or Linux operating system it is going to be. I already mentioned yesterday, because this is very important. Your Linux is a separate part of your operating system, which is again a part of your operating system. It's a part of your operating system, but that is a different component, so which drives your hardware and works with your software. So that is how your Linux operating system architecture is. So as of now, Red Hat is giving the software utilities using the Linux kernel, and they're calling it as Red Hat operating system. So Debian, they're providing their software utilities with the Linux kernel, and they're calling it as Ubuntu operating system. So SUSE is using their utilities and using this Linux kernel. Now they're calling it as SUSE operating system. So Microsoft has announced they want to use their own utilities, and they want to use the Linux kernel. So they want to call it as Windows operating system, but technically that cannot be Windows. So that is Linux operating system, but they want to port completely Windows on Linux kernel. So that's what the announcement came so a few days back. So Linux is not an operating system, so you have to really understand this. Linux, you talk about a word Linux is not an operating system. Linux plus some software utilities, we're going to together call it as an operating system. Okay, so vendors like Red Hat pull the Linux code and embed that with their softwares and ship that as an operating system, as I'm mentioning. So Windows also want to do the same approach. Now, so this is where till yesterday we have discussed about. Let's proceed with the rest of the commands. So hope everyone is clear on this particular part, right? So any confusions or clarifications so far?
Yeah, what utility do you need on Windows? Is it PuTTY or something?
In Windows, what it is?
Yeah, what utility do you need on Windows?
Windows has its own kernel, by the way. So which is they have their own stack, which is dealing with the hardware. So you require
No,
some
he's
software.
asking which utility to use to connect to the server. Yes, you can use PuTTY also.
Oh,
PuTTY is
utility.
worked in. Yeah. PuTTY is
So
also worked in.
do I have to download PuTTY?
Yeah, yesterday I mentioned that in yesterday's session.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. I did that. I mean, I did not understand your question properly. That's fine. So
There's another one which you can use is as called Git Bash. So you can use Git Bash also.
yeah, any utilities, there are a lot of utilities. So any other questions? All right. So next move on to some basics. So whenever you are into a machine, so it's a minimal responsibility or it's a minimal information you need to understand whether that is a which vendor operating system. So far you just seen whether it is a 32-bit or 64-bit, okay? But if you want to know whether that is a Red Hat operating system or Ubuntu operating system or something else, so how do you do that? So there is a general command which is available. So cat/etc star release. So what this command is doing, don't worry at this point of time. So we'll come to the cat command once again. So this is what you have, and it is showing the information. So it is showing that it is using CentOS Linux release 7.6. It is using CentOS 7.6. 7 is the major version and 6 is the minor version, and 7.6 it is using. Okay, but somewhere you'll see Red Hat also. You see this RHEL Red Hat, because as I mentioned, it's a copy of Red Hat. So you'll some or other where you'll find out those keywords as well. Okay, but this is a customized version of Red Hat, which is CentOS 7.6. So yeah, whenever you buy any hardware, let's say whenever you buy some PC or laptop, something, so what minimal you check? Okay, what is the OS? Of course, if you have OS, or if you don't have OS, we'll check the hardware information. So we already checked our system is a 32-bit or 64-bit by using uname-i. The same way, so there are other two components generally we check it out. Okay, or three components, so which we usually call or which we usually should be having. Ideally, we should be having to make to run your hardware. So which is CPU, memory, and I/O. Okay, so that's where we're going to see those information now. And to check the CPU information, and so here you have cat/proc/CPU info. Okay, so cat/proc/CPU info. So here this is the CPU information trying to tell you. So you're getting processor 0, but after that you're not getting any processor number. So that means you have one processor with you, one core. To be clear, it's one core. Now let's say if you have a quad core processor, if you have a dual core processor, then you'll be having two cores with you. And how many virtual machines you can create is, you can create two virtual machines on that machine. If you have a dual core, you can create two virtual machines. So one core goes to one virtual machine and another goes to another virtual machine. Okay, so unless until you use some other mechanisms to split it as well, but still in general, so that is how it is. So now let's say you have a quad core machine or a dual core machine, and I took one core completely to my virtual machine. So that is what this one core. And the vendor here you have is an Intel vendor, and so they are using Xeon processing. They're using Xeon processor. So it's like your i3, i5, i7, i9 processors. You have a Xeon processor for servers. Okay, and you are getting 2.4 gigahertz, so high speed. So you don't find out this much speed in your desktop processors. Okay, so usually you'll find out 1.6 or 1.8 gigahertz at a max generally. So they might provide you if they want, but still okay, so it's going to be too fast. And also it has so 30 MB of cache, so which is going to be again which is much faster than any of your desktop processors. Your desktop processors i-series probably might have some so hardly you might have 4 MB of cache. Okay, not more than that. But your servers Xeon processor having 30 MB of cache. So however you have your how big your cache in your CPU, it becomes that much faster. Processing basically. Okay, so that's fine. Anyhow, you just understand the CPU information. So this is so this is Xeon processor of 2.4 gigahertz of some series. Okay, and this is how you have it. And the same way, like so meminfo cat/proc/meminfo. Okay, so here is what you have. So memory information, I'm having 1013.192 KB, and if you put by 1024, it becomes 1013 MB, close to 1 GB. 1013 MB is going to be close to 1 GB of RAM. Okay, and you put by 1024, so hardly you get one is a digit, and you're going to get memory information, and all the memory related information is being shown here. Okay, and the same way, so now we are going to have the disk information. So how can we provide the disk information? So here it is given sudo fdisk-l. Unless until you are not a root user, you can use sudo commands, but we are a root user right now, so I can just go for fdisk-l. That's fine. fdisk-l. So fdisk-l is going to show me that I am having a disk which is /dev/xvda of 10 GB. So this is having a 10 GB of 10 GB of total disk size. So you can ignore these dev mappers because these are logical disks which are available inside your machine. But this is only the so anything which is coming off /dev/xvda or /dev/sda. Okay, so those disks you should consider as the real disks. So any mapper disks you can ignore. So those are just maps, which is a virtual disks which are available inside your operating system to run. Okay, so that's how you have this one, and the size of this one is 10 GB. And of course, you know that there is going to be no hard disk will be with the size of 10 GB. So it's a virtual machine, and you can give whatever the chunk you want to give. Okay, so this is how you can get the basic information about. This is the basic information how you can get it with basic commands inside your Red Hat machine. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Srini.
Yeah. What is RHEL?
Red Hat Enterprise Linux, RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is called as RHEL.
Okay. So this is does it say that it is a distribution is RHEL, means like it is from Red Hat Enterprise Linux? Is that what it is?
Yes, CentOS is a copy of Red Hat. They take a copy of Red Hat and they customize and they release.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one more thing, right? See, we
Yeah.
have a hard disk of 10 gigabytes. You say, okay, let's say that suppose we say I saved some files, like some text, some kind of a files on the disk, okay? And see, once you terminate that, right? Once you terminate your instance or anything, and when you boot it up, will I be able to get the same files again on the volume, or how does that work?
No, whenever you terminate your machine, and your disk is also going to get terminated along with that.
Right.
So yeah, so you will not get that back.
So basically, are you saying that I'm going to lose my files?
See, why do you terminate? If you don't want, only you terminate. If you want, you will not terminate.
No. Example is like in the AWS, right? See, once I'm done with my whatever the work I did, I'll be terminating, correct? So because I don't want to get charged for that. So but when I boot it up, like again, so will I be able to get my files and everything that I saved?
So in that case, you should not choose an option terminate. Terminate means you're asking especially to delete it, and it is deleting it. And whereas if you want the files back again and you don't want to get charged, so there's another option which is called as stop, and you're supposed to use that option. So here, instance, you're supposed to use stop option, not terminate. So stop will stop the instance, and it will not get charged in the account.
Okay. So, but the volume is still attached, is it, when you stop it?
Yeah, volume will be there. Unless until it is terminated, the volume will be there.
But I'm going to get charged for the volume, is it?
Yes, you'll get charged for the volume. If it is costing 30 GB in total in your account, so you are going to get charged. So disk is very minimal, and it is almost ignorable by any person. So let's say if you just go for, there is a calculator which is available. You type in Google S3 calculator, you will get a AWS calculator, or AWS calculator. You get AWS calculator. So let's say if you are using a disk size of EBS volume. So let's say if you are using so 100 GB of general provisioned SSSD. Okay, so then what is your charges are going to be is per month it is $7. Okay, I don't think so. You'll never be using so 100 GB, but still, so $7 is ignorable amount for 100 GB per month actually, or $10 basically.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there a way of having the same IP address when you stop your instance and you restart it?
Yeah. So, and the answer will be no. So only the real IPs are private IPs. The real IPs are private IPs, and these IPs will not change. And whereas public IPs is a dynamic IPs which get attached only whenever your instance is running, and those will change. And if you don't want to change, and again you're going to get charged in your account. So here, and the charges are going to be like this. So you can do that, but you don't want it. So you're just using hardly a lab, and you don't want all those situations. But in a real-time companies, so some instances, and we never use public IPs by the way in real company in the real time. So we'll talk about those particular strategies later point of time, not at this time. But still, as you are, so here, if I want a elastic IP address, so then I'll just go for one elastic IP address. So for 750 hours, so that means close to 1 month. 750. Okay, and so then how my charges are going to be again? So $7. So per IP, you're going to pay almost like close to $7. So if you want to get it and so static IP address, we don't want that. So that's where we're going to use the dynamic IP address. So your IP changes whenever you stop your instance and you start your instance back again.
Okay, so the public changes, but the private doesn't change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So any other questions?
So every day the server IP will get changed, and we'll have to log into the new IP address to connect to your. That's
yeah.
Okay. Actually, I have saved the session in the booking. I think it will not work every.
No, it will not work. So you don't need to change anything, save anything. So those things will change. Okay. So that's okay. Let them change. It doesn't matter for us because we want to minimize our cost and so maximize our lab setup. Okay. So let them. Don't worry on that particular part much.
They are not using any DNS, so we can connect to the host line.
Yeah. That's okay.
It's 7 o'clock.
Okay, so the next thing is going to be yeah.
Will you be covering LVM concepts as well in line as a part of Linux or
no? This can be yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing is going to be see here, and you're seeing the screen, right? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't hear the last question. What was the question he asked?
So he has asked for, is there we are going to cover a logical volume setup in Linux as part of our course. I said no, because the Linux whatever we are delivering in these particular sessions, which are required for my course. I'm not taking Linux administration course here. So I'm taking only, I'm driving you through only the commands which are required to build up my DevOps course. And on that particular perspective, I don't require this particular LVM concept, and I'm not doing that. Yeah. And in cloud, you don't require much of managing these things. I cannot say 100%, at least 60-70% you avoid all your manual efforts. And whatever I was doing, so 10 to 11 years back on Linux, you will never do those things right now. all those things. So let's say as a Linux admin, we used to have a lot of resources with, a lot of services with us. So I used to manage LVMs, I used to manage, I used to manage backups, and I used to manage, network part, all my job has been cut off. So today, if you say Linux admin, so that means you're not doing anything, frankly saying. Okay. So why? Because, so when Linux started, these DNS and DHCP services were major. Earlier, Windows used to give that, but it is going to be the pay tool. So that's where Linux is a free one, and it's Linux is a free one, and so we started using the DNS and DHCP services in our company using in my Linux servers. But ultimately, so those became IT services. Ultimately, those has to be IT services because internal DNS and DHCP services, those went to IT. So my job has been cut off, and I used to manage disks. Okay, and those particular disks so has been so ported into storage layer, and a storage job came, and my job is gone. And after that, I used to maintain backups. So I used to maintain these separate devices, tape drives, and so we used to put backups into those particular things using some tar command or something like that. And so some tools came into existence, so net backup and backup exec, different tools came into existence. My job lost. Okay. So I now, at least over the years, I was doing at least some installations and things like that. The installations are gone. So because we are in a cloud world, so we just use images. So see how fast you're getting a virtual machine. So back 10 years back, to install a web server, so we used to struggle a week. Install a web server, it takes a week struggle for us to so pull all the resources whatever is needed. So we used to end up a lot of servers. We don't have yum command that time. You have only rpm command. You don't have any so blocks that time. If you have any issues, you have to fix them. A lot of nuisance things. So so to make a web server setup, for the first time, it took 1 month for me as a fresher. Okay, 1 month, seriously, 1 month continuous effort to set up a LAMP application, so a Linux with PHP. It took seriously 1 month. But today, it just happens in not even 1 minute. It just happens in, so like, sophisticatedly, you can type one command and it can take care. So that's how it improvised. But, so a lot of your burden has been removed because you're in a cloud. And in cloud, most of the work we don't do as a traditional work you do. So Linux admins, I don't think so. So today, market strategy is completely different. So today in my environment, if I have a problem with the server earlier, so what I used to do, so I used to take the support with the vendor. So let's say Red Hat is an operating system vendor. So then immediately I'll raise a call with them. Okay. So to make a raise a call with them, also I have to pay them. So I might be paying on an annual. Okay. So because I don't know when the issues comes up, so I might be paying them. So so it's thousands of dollars probably. I'm paying them, and I just on one fine day I'll make a call, and an engineer will be assigned, and based on the requirement, so they set the priority, and the call runs. After hours and hours of debug, so then you'll find out the issue and you fix it. But today in a cloud world, I don't do that. It's waste of time. So what I'm going to do now, right now, so I will remove that instance and bring up another instance and set up all the required configurations, whatever is needed in the new machine, which probably can so can be done in 20-30 minutes immediately. I don't need to really rely on any other so vendor so to fix my issue. So because that's something like so OS issue or application issue, whatever it is, I'll spin up another one. I'll come to know okay what issue it could be, whether it is an OS issue or an application issue, and we'll easily identify and fix accordingly. So I really don't worry about operating system and and things like that in today's world. Okay, so those can be easily deleted and created again. Okay, so that's where we are actually evolving into. So we need to change the way we are working as well. Yeah, so back to the point, I might have told unnecessary story, but still, yes, that is how it is working. And we might not discuss about those things because we don't really want those things. But I'm not saying that everywhere it is not required. So it is required, but we don't require for our sessions. We're not touching that particular area. Okay, yeah. So moving on. So here, I'm going to do one small thing here. So what I'm going to do is, so here, see here on the right side, you see the screen, and you'll see the cleaning of the screen automatically. So you see this, the screen got cleaned up. So how that particular screen just cleaned up automatically? I'm using a shortcut, and of course you cannot see that shortcut, right? So so command typing, anyone can do that, okay? So if they know the command, but if you want to do it in a professional way, so you should be knowing about so the shortcuts on the Linux terminal, and that's where you need to learn much on the bash shortcuts. The bash, whatever the terminal you are using, we call it as a bash shell, and that particular terminal has a lot of so shortcuts available, which makes your life really easy. So I will prefer you practice these things rigorously. Okay, I'm not going to touch anything. Okay, but as a suggestion I'm giving you, so go with this particular shortcuts, and it really makes your life easy. You can pick any link of your choice. Go to Google and type bash shortcuts and you're fine. Okay, so you'll get some links. Just follow one link and just practice, understand. So read it, practice it, and understand it. Read it, practice, and understand it. Okay, so that's how it is. So let's say if I just go for so bash shortcuts, if I give, bash shortcuts, if I give, so I'm getting some link here. And so just follow one year. Now let's say I'm using something like this, /etc or something like this. See, now what Alt A is telling you. So Alt A is going to take you to the beginning of the line. Okay, Alt A in your keyboard is going to take you so to the starting of the line. So you see this immediately. See here, where is my cursor pointer? So here is it is the ending. I'm pressing that, so A, it is just taking me to the starting. So just try to understand that and put that so that it really helps you a lot in minimizing your work. Okay, so just explore those options. Pick up any link of your choice, read the document, understand it, okay, and move on. Now so the next thing is going to be the command prompt. Okay, so going forward we may need to perform some admin activities as well. So but in this session this point is not applicable because I just changed the image to directly log in as a root user, and so here I'm okay, so going to tell you one simple important point. So whenever you log in as a normal user, and we might need to perform some activities in such commands, we need to understand in which prompt you're executing. So the command prompt is determining whether you're a root admin user or a normal user. So if you see a hash prompt here, hash prompt denotes that you're a root user. And if it's a normal user, let's say if I just exit, I'll come back to CentOS user. So, and it is showing me a dollar prompt. So dollar prompt denotes that I am a normal user. I'm a normal user. So dollar prompt denotes I'm normal user. Hash prompt denotes I'm a root user, by the way. Okay, a root user is the admin user, which is the default user, which is available. Like you're in Windows, you have administrator, the same kind of user you have available here. And and okay, so that user can perform anything in the operating system, so any activity. Okay, so but normal user is limited to perform only few activities. But anyhow, we'll talk about a certain concept called as sudo in later sessions. I'll explain you that particular setup in that particular session. Okay, so yeah, just let's jump on to the commands which we're going to have, the basics. So first command which we're going to talk about is the listing files and directories. Listing your files and directories is what we're going to discuss from now. Okay, so which is starts with ls command, or the basic command starts with listing files and directories, and the command is ls command. So ls command is going to show you the list of files which you have in the directory which you are in. You are in which directory doesn't matter as of now. So but in whichever directory you are in, it is going to show you those list of files just by using ls command. So ls command can fetch the files and directories in the current directory. Okay, so you can just give ls command. So it is not giving anything because you don't have anything. It's a brand new system, and you just logged into the system, you didn't did anything, so you don't see any files out there. Now, so ls command is going to show you only the files and directories which are not hidden, but there might be some files which are hidden. Okay, so it might be having some files which are hidden, and if you want to get those particular files, then you have to use some options. So what is the option you have is capital A. So ls hyphen capital A, sorry, ls hyphen capital A. So this option always determines the way this command should work. Now ls hyphen capital A, it is showing some output now. So what is the output it is showing? It is showing some files now. It is showing some files now, and that particular files are hidden files. But how do you say that those files are hidden files? You can see this. It is starting with dot. Every file is starting with dot. Every file is starting with dot. So if any file is starting with a file name is starting with a dot, you can create file name sample.txt, or if you give a file name .sample.txt, then that becomes a hidden file. Okay, so that's how okay, so these becomes hidden files, and those will not be shown by default by your ls command unless until you ask it to show, and then it shows that. Okay, so that's how you have your ls command and the list of files, and you have a lot of options, by the way. Okay, and all those options you might explore based on your demand, as I mentioned. So every option we cannot remember. So what are the regular options we have? So probably we might remember those particular options, and based on the requirement, you can always explore the options by using man page or ls-help. It shows all the options which are available out there. And out of these, we're just using only one option, so which is all. Okay, so this is how it is. Yeah, all right. So the same way, ls-l-capital A. So the hidden files with a properties also. So previously it was showing only the file names, but it was not showing the file properties. And what are the file properties you have? You have permissions, okay, and you have ownerships, and you have the size of the file, and you have when the file was last modified, and the file name. So in Windows, you probably might be right-click properties, and you see all this information. So, but here it is ls-l is an option which shows all the information. Okay, so that's how it is going to be with ls command. Ls command is simply going to show you the list of files in whichever directory you are in. But if you want the files of some other directory, we'll talk about that, but not at this point of time. So here, just about listing the files in the present working directory. Okay, so let's move on to the next basic commands, which we have is files. Dealing with the files starts with creating the file, removing on the files. What we can do, by the way, in any operating system, doesn't matter. So in what all you can do, basically, you can create some file. Assume you don't have internet, you don't have browser, and assume you don't have movies. Okay, anything. You just remove the entertainment part, and if you think about, so what is a thing you can do in the operating system. Let's say you can do your work, and work would be around your files, dealing with them, probably, right? So you can create a file, you can delete a file, okay, you can copy file, you can rename file, something else, or you can edit a content in a file. Content is different thing, but so generally, okay, so these are the operations which you can perform on top of files. So we can create files. We can create files with multiple ways. Okay, you can create files with multiple ways. There are a lot of commands which you can use to create a file, but whenever we talk about creating a file, the basic command which we talk about is always a touch command. So touch command can allow you to create a file. So touch and the file name is going to create a file, and touch can create multiple files as well. So touch sample nodes.txt lambda.py. So you can just see here touch sample, and then nodes.txt and lambda.py. So we created 3 files. Okay, ls. You can see those 3 files here. Okay, So, or ls-l, it shows you the long list, and it is how it is. And you can see the size of these all three files is 0. One thing you need to understand, okay, why I created with different extensions is, I just want to mention that in Linux we don't have any file extensions. Extensions maybe use it's only for our understanding. So you create sample or sample.txt, or you create nodes node.txt, or you create lambda or lambda.py. So those extensions is only for our understanding. Linux doesn't really bother about those extensions. Linux doesn't have extension based approach like your Windows. Windows is completely Windows is completely extension based. If you don't have extensions, if you double click, it will not work. But in Linux, you don't have that option. So the extensions only to keep for me to understand. So let's say lambda.py, I immediately keep in mind or come into my mind is, oh, okay, so this is a Python script. Nodes.txt, oh, okay, this is a text file, like that. So let's say sample.sh, sample.sh. Okay, by seeing that, I'll understand, oh, okay, this is a shell script. So like that, it's going to be it is going to be sorry, it's going to be not an extension based. It's completely extensions only for our humans to understand. That's all. System doesn't really bother about them. Okay, but Windows system also bothers. Okay, so that is how it is. Now, how can we remove a file? So we have some files created. So how can I remove a file is rm command. So I can just do rm sample. Okay, and so what happened? So here it just removed the file. It just removed the file. Okay, so the file sample is gone, and the file sample is gone, and you cannot see that. All right. And the next one, so sometimes it might ask you while removing the files, sometimes it might ask you whether you want to remove it or not. In some situations, it is going to come. So what are those situations? We'll see it later, but let me use. So some situations now. So let's say now if I just give rm nodes.txt, it asks for yes or no. You see this? So you're removing a write protector regular empty file. So do you want to remove? I have to press yes, Y enter. So then it will remove. Or if you want to avoid that, so I didn't press anything, I hit enter, so that there is no so there is no answer. It hasn't done anything. But sometimes if I just want to forcefully do that without prompting, so rm-f node.txt, that file will go. It will never prompt you for yes or no. So -f option. It will never prompt for yes or no. Okay, so the next thing is going to be copying a file. So it's as simple as that. So you can give a copy, a source file, and a destination file. So now let's say lambda.py. So cp lambda.py and new.py, and it just copies whatever the content you have in lambda.py will be copied into a new file name, which is new.py. And this doesn't really, so need much explanation, because everyone should be generally aware of what happens whenever you copy a file. In Windows, you might be doing with a mouse right-click copy or Control-C, Control-V shortcut. But here, it's all about commands. Everything you want to do, anything you want to do, it has to be a command. Okay, anything you want to perform, it has to be a command. So keep that in mind. Okay. Yeah.
So see, you're saying that on the Linux page, right? With so the extensions doesn't matter, right? So like the thing is, right, if you don't say nodes.txt and lambda.py, so when you're trying to open an application, like how does it know? Like, is that if your py is like nodes.txt is ASCII and lambda.py is in a binary, so how will the application know whether it can open that? Or same way in the Windows page, right? It looks for the extension and tries to do that way, right? So how does it work?
Yeah. So good question, by the way. So here, so how does it happen? So here you're going to execute a command. So there you're executing directly. Double click, and it is associated to one program, and it is opening in the program. But here, what happens is, So if you want to deal with this file, so you have to give the program and you have to give the file name. So for an example, if I want to edit this particular file, I'll give the program and the file name. So and it opens in that particular program. Now let's say if I want to open in another program, which is something like nano is not there, less is there probably. So less, and this is the program, and you give that lambda.py, it works. And cat is a program, and just give lambda.py, so and it works. So okay, so you are giving a program and then you're giving a file, and this is how it is going to work. So it's a command you have to execute.
This is all ASCII, right? Vim less cat, this is all ASCII we're talking about, correct?
Yeah. So this is ASCII is the files which you create. You don't create a binary files, right? You don't write binary files. Okay, no, you work on regular files. Yeah, let me complete. You generally work on, let me. So you generally work on regular files only. You cannot write a binary file. So binary file is a compiled one. And here my VIM is a binary file and it is getting executed. Less is a binary file, it is getting executed. And cat is a binary file, it is getting executed. So binary files are meant to execute. But whenever you talk about a file, so binaries are nothing but programs. You don't write a program, you write your file, you deal with your files. And use the program to deal with your file. Got it?
Just imagine that I FTP'd a PDF file. How do I open it?
So your PDF utility. So let's say you install Acrobat PDF editor. So you just give Acrobat. So whatever the command you commit with, PDF, and that particular, so that particular PDF file it opens. So this Acrobat is going to open this particular file.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you just need to understand. Okay. So I mean, yes, your point is absolutely true. Whenever you compare with Windows operating system, so in Windows, based on the extension, a tool will be associated, but the same extension can be dealt with some other tool also, right? So if you want to open with another tool, what you do, you open the tool, and then so because you double click it, immediately it goes to the default tool. But I don't want that way. You have multiple ways. So how can you do that? You can open the utility and you click on open and you go and so load that particular file. So this is that kind of approach. So here you don't have any default programs associated. Okay, so you have to give which program you want to give an execution. So that's where Linux is so secure. Linux is so secure in terms of viruses. Actually, you don't get any viruses usually on Linux machines because of this point only, especially because in Windows you double click, you don't know what is happening. So some program will get executed in the background, and that's where these virus guys actually put these virus in that particular so extensions basically, and you execute it and the virus happens. So that's how you get it. So you have some file, you double click it and just get executed. You're not intended to execute and it gets executed, you've got the virus inside your system. Yeah, right. So last option for today, so I'll just put the questions session. The next thing is how do you rename a file? So I created a file something like so new.py. Oh, okay, I thought like so I have to rename this file. Then what is the command you have to use is, but one more point actually I forget to mention here. So copy. So whenever you're doing a copy, lambda.py, so which is a new.py. So now that new.py is already there. New.py is already there, and you hit enter, so it will override the new.py. What happens? So your new.py is going to override. Okay, so by default, cp command is not going to ask you, hey, there is already a file, so do you want me to override? It never asks. It will simply overrides. So you have to keep that in mind. So whenever you're executing, so your cp command will override the target files if the file is already there. If the file is not there, it will copy, that's fine, but the file is already there, it will override. Okay, so keep this point in mind whenever you're executing, because if you once you override, you cannot retrieve the file. You lost the data, you will never get the data. Okay, so that is how you have to be cautious whenever you're doing. Okay, so verify it if it is working, and then you do that. Now let's say if you want to make it little bit interactive, and you don't want to copy if the file is already there, so then use an option called as -i. If you use an option -i, it verifies if there is a file called as new.py. Okay, it is asking for a no, so then you give yes and it will overwrite. So then if you don't give yes, it will not overwrite. It will not do that operation. So that's how you are safe. Okay, so think before doing. I'm really making you a caution here, because you're going to deal with the real production servers in your company as a DevOps engineer. So a single file loss of data also could could make you a lot of application downtime. So you have to be really careful whenever you are doing the things. Cautiously do the commands, or consciously, not cautiously, cautiously and consciously. I see most of the people, so blindly executing the commands. But why I'm executing this command? What is the outcome of this command? If it is a test environment, play with it. I'm not stopping you. But whenever it is a real server which is solving something, be really cautious. And if you know the outcome, then only execute. If you don't know the outcome, don't do that. Okay. So doing and getting fired is worse than not doing anything. Okay. Not doing is much better than doing something sometimes. Okay. Seriously. Okay. So I have some personal experiences, by the way. Okay. So just telling you, don't do anything so stupid unless until you really know what is the outcome. Okay. So
yeah, Raghu, one question. I'm sorry to
yeah.
stop you.
Yeah.
Is there a way where we can run a bat file?
In bat file?
Yes.
So bat is a Windows related format. Okay. So you usually is not you cannot run Windows commands on Linux or Linux commands on Windows, right? So yeah, it's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we write scripts, and usually we hear it's a shell script is the default one. So there is a bash scripting in Windows, default one. So you can use some third-party utilities, third-party scripting in Windows is VB scripting, Visual Basic, I think so. So here coming to the Linux, so you have shell scripting is the default one, like a batch, and you can write some third-party scripting like Python or something. Okay, so but the basic is shell scripting here, and in Windows it is batch. You cannot execute shell scripts on Windows, and the same way you cannot execute bash scripts on your Linux machine as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So one last option over here. So renaming a file. So how can I rename a file? So here move command you can use, and you can use that particular file. So move new.py. So let's say new.py. And ls, so the file name has been the file has been renamed. But there are some situations are going to be, if the destination already exists, then it will overwrite the file. So keep that in mind. If the destination is already there, then it will overwrite the file. So let's say you're trying to rename the file of new.py with the capital new.py. Now it will remove the old new.py and it will rename this file. So you have to be cautious. So move command intention is to move the files from one location to another location, but at this point of time we're just talking about as a rename. So once after we talk about the directories and the other options under directories, so then we can talk the move command in moving the file from in the criteria of moving the file from one location to another location. Yeah. So these are the basic commands to understand how do you deal with the files and the list of files in Linux. And tomorrow we're going to continue the same commands. So moving with some directories and the command related to directories and some utilities and then the next dealing with the file content followed with some utilities. Okay. Yeah. So any questions? Any questions on the today's session?
I just have one suggestion. Can you hear me?
Yes, hey, tell me.
Yeah, because sometimes when other people ask questions, we don't really hear it. So can you repeat the question before you answer it?
Yeah, so those questions you can see it on the chat actually. So yeah, I'll try to practice that way. Definitely. Yeah.
Because a couple of people asked some questions, and I'm sure they were very good questions, but maybe because of their audio, we couldn't really hear them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, it's even better if I make that particular practice as well. I'll try, Sari. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. I'll definitely give it a try on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Here I go. What's the difference between the touch and the VA command, and in the same way, what's the difference between the less and the cat command?
So we deal with the file content tomorrow, probably possible. So the file content one you're dealing with, so we'll see those options. Yeah.
Okay, fine. And I had one more question. Like when I tried executing the uname command in my laptop, it showed as Darwin. Like,
yeah.
Can you please explain that?
Darwin is basically because you're executing that command in your Linux terminal, your Mac terminal. You have to connect to the remote node, and then you have to give the uname command. It shows Linux. So let's see here. If I just give exit and if I just give uname, it shows me Darwin only.
Oh, okay.
Because you're asking your OS X machine about its uname, but once after you connect to the Linux machine, and there if you give uname, so then it shows Linux. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In replacing a file, can on your screen, I actually don't get what it looks like. Does like if you want to replace a file or something, does the other file leave the screen entirely, or just add to it? Because I didn't get actually what is going on.
Yes, it is going to overwrite the file. So you try to copy, and you try to copy on the same file which is already there. So then it will remove the old file and replaces the new file. So because you're asking for that operation, and the existing file will be removed. Okay, so that is how the by default it is going to work.
Oh, so will it be removed, or it will just go a little bit up? That's well, because I can still see it when you're doing it. I can still see the previous one. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So yeah. So for your question to answer, let's get into a little bit deeper as you asked it. Okay. So I tried this very years back, and I don't remember really what is happening. So let's give a try of this. So now, so let's say, or let's say I have let's say lambda.py file. So now ls-I I'm going to give, and -l if I just give. So it is showing me one number. So which is this number is a pointer on the hard disk. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is the statement which I made is whenever you copy, it will overwrite the file. Okay, and as you now, as I told you, it will remove the old file and it will place a new file there. So let's try to understand which statement is correct, whether it will overwrite the same file or it removes the old file and replaces a new file. When it removes a old file, so that means the hard disk, the link, whatever you have it on the hard disk link will be cleared up because it is removing. And after that it is creating, so you should be getting another entry. So that should happen. So let's try to understand what is really happening. So cp lambda.py and with something like new.py. So the same file name is there. I'm just executing, and ls-I. So you see the same numbers. It's not really changing. So that means what is happening is the file name is still there. It's not really removing, but it is suppressing the content and putting the new file there in that particular content, new content in that particular file.
Okay, now I see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So we'll meet in tomorrow's session. So please practice these particular commands, and so that you'll not face any surprises in tomorrow's session. Yeah.
Also, will you upload this current section to the drive?
Right. Not drive. YouTube. You have one.
I mean, yeah, that's what I mean. Also, we have it there.
Sorry, Nila. Come again.
Yeah, I mean, how soon will you upload it so I can go over all this training again? Because
Yeah.
I
So
must tell you the truth, I'm still a little bit skeptical about this class. It's a little bit, yeah, I need to go over it again. So I'm asking, how soon will you have it uploaded?
Yeah. So what happens is, so this this recording happens in a customized format by GoToMeeting, and they need some time for processing. Okay. So probably 20-30 minutes in between. So they should be able to give us recording. And after that, so we have to upload it. And after uploading, the YouTube has to process it, or Google Drive, whatever it is. They have to process it and get it available. In a general, if you do it immediately in an hour, if not after 90 minutes, in general, it should be available to you.
Oh, okay.
So it will
Yeah.
be available on the same link which you have shared it to me today, right?
Correct.
Under the heading of number 3.
Right. Correct.
Okay, got it.
So where is the link for the YouTube?
So it is there in the email, Srini. Just check your email. I sent you all that.
Sorry for that.
Yeah.
And can we download the content?
No, we cannot. So from YouTube, of course, you cannot download any videos, and especially these videos are download protected, so you cannot download these videos. So because of the business reasons, and you can only watch. Yeah, and those will be available for lifetime. Yeah, you can watch anytime.
Okay, so we will have to use the internet to access the link, video link.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So I have some people waiting on another session. So let's wrap it up. And if you have anything, so let's discuss in tomorrow's session. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Bye.